Ankur, you're muted.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. Ankur here. Welcome to the penultimate session for cohort 12. We'll just wait for Michael. He's just joining in. Let's give him a minute or two, and we'll give some time for others to join in as well. So let's just give it a minute or two, and then we can start. Sorry, hi, Michael. Thank you for joining. So let's get started. Guys, so Michael is co-founder of Unit and leading token builder focused on powering the token economy using the Unit network blockchain powered by Polkadot. Michael's mission is to solve the wealth inequality by providing a more cooperative economy. He is focused on social impact and positive change through education, entrepreneurship, and empowering individuals. Michael is a self-taught full stack mobile and blockchain developer. Alongside, he designed a video app. Michael has been in the crypto and blockchain industry since 2010. In fact, anyway, I'll leave that part of it. But yeah, he's part of the video. He created a peer-to-peer video conferencing app, which was used by millions of users globally, one of UK's largest student social networks. And Michael was also the lead developer at WikiLeaks Android application. Michael has been a founder outside of starting and growing businesses. Michael has advised and supported startups, investors, and corporates in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Latin America. He was a finalist of the Thiel Fellowship by Peter Thiel and awarded the silver medal in the mathematics Olympiad. Unit is also Michael's brainchild. And without taking any more time, Michael, over to you. Thank you for joining.
Thanks so much for the warm introduction, Ankur, and really appreciative and grateful to be here, and really nice to see so many people participating in our Unit Masters program. I think it's amazing the impressive work that our Masters team has done, and really excited that everyone here is getting started within the Web3 and the crypto economy. I think, as Ankur mentioned, I'm really excited to talk today about why I'm so excited and passionate about this technology and how this profound evolution and revolution in what this technology provides for society. So on a really high level, why are we doing this? Or like, what's the point? Going to be talking about that, as well as giving an introduction about myself. Going to be speaking a little bit about the Unit network and how that fits in, as well as how we see the token economy moving forward and really revolutionizing things. So starting with a bit of background on myself, I think Ankur did a really good job in introducing. I have been building applications for the past 15 years. I've been in digital assets. For the past I've been in digital assets for the past 12 years, 2010. Originally got involved by building the app for WikiLeaks, and when the government froze our bank accounts, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal donation channels, we were forced to use Bitcoin, which was super early and nascent at the time, led the Bitcoin fundraise there. And that was really revolutionary because it provided, this idea of decentralized and peer-to-peer banking and money, first time that this was done. And then I, as Anchor mentioned, started a popular video conferencing app, and encrypted video calling allowed people to communicate in a decentralized way. And also worked at Wellington, one of the top VCs in Europe, invested in like Spotify. So, talking a little bit about the wealth and equity piece, like why is this so important? We basically realized that there's lots of problems in the world. There's clean water issues, there's social issues, there's environmental issues, there's a wide range of issues. And what we think is that one of the reasons why there's these issues is incentives, and largely economic, meaning that, if you align the incentives correctly, and if you solve the monetary issues, then these challenges become much easier to solve. So, why is there this wealth issue, and why is there this misalignment in incentives? Well, the reason why there's this wealth inequity is because we basically realize that there's a very small minority which holds most of the wealth in the world. And those are the people who start things, the founders, and people who invest in things. So if you think about, the biggest companies in the world, you think about the most wealthy people, these are, companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, and all of that value is largely concentrated amongst the founders, Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, or the people who invested in them, the venture capitalists, the angel investors, the private equity firms, the VCs, and those people control as well. If you were the first early user of, let's say, Zoom or Instagram, or you're the first driver of Uber, you might have a cool story. You might have said, oh, I used this app, or I was the first customer when nobody heard about it, and I knew it was going to succeed. But it's a cool story, but you were integral for its success, but you didn't really participate in the upside. It's very normal now. If you're the first employee of a company, you might tell some really fun and interesting stories, and everyone might say, oh, they were the first, employee of this project, and they did really well. But you didn't really participate in the upside. You might get a little bit of stock options, or you might have some fun stories. And what the token economy is going to solve, it's going to create society which makes the rich richer, but pulls everyone else up. So it allows everybody to get a piece of the pie. And, it might sound super dystopian, it might sound super surreal or utopian, this idea that, money and wealth becomes really much more inclusive and accessible. But it's really not as far as most people think it is. This idea that, at the moment, there's a small number of gatekeepers. Those people decide where the capital flows. They decide, if you're good enough to raise money for the project that you have in mind, or, you are given an opportunity to start a business or a project. But, all of this is going to radically shift. The same way when the internet started, there were, a small number of people who controlled a lot of the information in the world. If you think about, the libraries or the experts that, you need to buy books. It's a very small number of people who are writing all the information. Those are professional journalists or publishers. And then if you want to talk to an expert, it costs a great deal of money, capital, or, you need to be connected. You need to go to an institution like a top university or a university. And the internet basically, commoditized that. Everybody who has access to the internet just has access to all of this information, right? Same with the smartphone. It did that same shift with communication. Same with publishing content. If you wanted to speak with someone on the other side of the world, before the mobile phone, it was very challenging. If you wanted to meet your friend for lunch, it was like, okay, we said we're going to be at 3 o'clock. You arrive at 3 o'clock and 3:10, they're not there. They're probably not going to show up. You can't just, message them like you do now. This communication aspect is solved. If you want to make a phone call with someone on the other side of the world, it used to be, $2 a minute. Like €2 a minute. And now it's effectively, free thanks to mobile phone and smartphone. We see the same shift happening with money. So the same way the internet solved access to information, same way the mobile phone solved access to communication. We were super confident that the token economy is going to do the same thing to money and value. So, now most people with the internet, they don't have to worry about information. If they want to find out, information about, a country, learn about a particular topic, the internet provides that. If you've got internet access, you basically have the access to information. Mobile phone does the same to communication. You don't worry twice. You can have a 2-hour conversation. That used to cost $200. Now it's, effectively free. Communication is largely solved. But money, still bothers and is something that, a lot of people think about. And we're super confident that, with the token economy, with what things like the unit network provides, it's going to allow value to flow much more freely around the economy. And it's going to provide much more economic opportunity to people. As Alex mentions here, it really is wonderful, this idea that we're going to live in a society where value and money is much more, prevalent and flowing around the economy, and people are given much more opportunities. And, how does unit fit into that? Well, creating a website used to be really, really expensive. It used to cost, $500,000. Very few people used to do it. And now, creating a website is free. Smartphones used to be, very few people used it. Very few who use social media. Not all your friends might have been on messaging apps, but now everyone is on it. It's effectively free. At the moment, creating a token, creating a coin, setting up a company, raising capital is quite challenging. Very few people know how to do it. It could be expensive in a lot of places. And what the unit network provides, it just makes it super easy. We're one of the leading token builders and DAO builders. And what that basically means is, if you have an idea or you have an existing business or, you have a person, you can go into the unit network, you create a token, it takes, seconds to do. And once you've created this token, it's up to you to build the incentives and to build, the plan to get your token out. You can sell some tokens, you can give some away, you can create challenges. Like, let's say you've got these ideas or goals to reach, you can say, hey, if you help me do these particular goals, I'm going to give you this amount of tokens. Or if you say, hey, I need, this amount of capital, you need, $20,000 or $2,000 or $200,000, you can sell a number of these tokens, to, 200 people, everyone's chipping in a small bit, and you've got the capital to get it funded. Now you might be thinking, this, 12,000 tokens, if you go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or one of these platforms, like, how do I know what's real? There's a lot of scams, how are people going to tell that, my token has value? Well, what we've basically pioneered within the unit network is this concept of treasury. So every single token that gets created has a floor price, meaning that, if Anchor, myself, Nadia, Samuel, Robinson created a token and there's nothing in the treasury, that means it's all speculative value. Like most coins, it could go up and, jump in price, it could drop in price. It's based on largely sentiment. So people don't know, people can't really tell, if someone's recommended you a coin, is it a good time to buy it? Is it a good time to sell it? There's no, book value, underlying value. And what we basically pioneer with this treasury is you can see, if let's say you bought some Anchor coins, you bought some Samuel coins, and, with this money that was used, that you gave them when you bought them this coin, they used it to do some good stuff, create products, create services, provide value to society. And with the excess capital that they generate, from providing this product and service, they put some of this into their treasury. If you can see the treasury growing, that basically gives you confidence and, lets you know, okay, cool, I see that, Samuel's treasury is growing. And because the treasury is growing, the floor price goes, let's say it goes from 0 to 10 cents to 20 cents to 50 cents. Now the exchange price also increases because it basically looks at the floor pricing and the exchange price will never drop below the floor price, right? The floor price, this treasury basically lets you know that if there's 100 Anchor tokens, if there's $100, the floor price is $1. I mean, it's not possible. It won't drop below $1 because there's $1 for every single token of Anchor tokens. And if Anchor puts more money into the treasury, you kind of know, okay, cool, the floor price is going up, then the exchange price is going to go up, right? So we think that all tokens of the world are going to follow this methodology. And, Unit basically provides you an easy tool to do that. And, what we're excited to see happen is, we have this master's program where we support people in providing them access to financial literacy, to Web3 education. Anchor and our team have done an amazing job there. Huge respect and props to them. We also have this ventures program. So after you graduate the master's program, I highly recommend everyone to apply to the ventures program. And and create a token, create one for yourself, so that your friends, your families, your supporters, your fans can have a piece of your upside. I've got Michael token. I give that to my close friends, family, supporters, and that basically ensures that all of the people that have supported me get a piece of my upside. If I was a musician, and I became the next, Jay-Z or Arctic Monkeys, like really well-known musicians, this idea that it's not just me who benefits, but all of the people that supported me on the journey, right? And it basically increases likelihood that someone is successful, as an entrepreneur, as a musician, as a dancer, as an artist. So we think, this idea of tokenization and DAOs is really transformational, and it's going to create a much more fluid economic system where value just flows much more around society. So as mentioned, the Ventures program, next batch is starting in a couple of weeks. So highly recommend applying there. And we're on this mission, within the master's program to get this message behind digital assets, crypto, DAOs to the world. So we're actively building our team, hiring, looking for your feedback and suggestions how we can improve it. So please feel free to reach out. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to message in the chat. Manuela says, Michael, following on your example about access to information, we can see manipulation and lack of accountability for content. How can this issue be avoided when moving significant parts of the current economy towards tokenization? This is a great question. So, I think, as mentioned before, one of the big problems of the world is the focus on economics, on money. And a lot of the reasons why you get fake news, or you get clickbait, or you get content which isn't of such good quality is because of money, dollars. People are having to sacrifice on journalistic integrity, or writing good content because they want to make money, right? And we believe that if we can move society to a point where people aren't just deciding, I'm going to write this or publish this content because it's going to make me more money, or, people realize, okay, I don't have to write fake news, or I don't have to, spin the media because it generates more profits. That's how we're going to solve for this, fake news or misinformation reality that we see at the moment. And I think, people talk about using the blockchain for transparency and, a clear trail of information. I think that it's more important than that, even though that's great, is the incentives. If we can create a society where, journalists don't have to struggle to make money, people who enjoy writing or publishing quality content, don't have to worry about the economics behind it, because everyone is incentivized to buy into their token and support them, and make sure that they can follow, their dream or vision without having to worry about the economics. And that is, I think, going to move us forward and solve the issues there. Samuel has a question: how can I apply for it? So the Ventures program, I think Anchor can share the link. We can also post it in our master's chat. We are really working hard on making sure that people get funded for the ideas and increase the likelihood of what they're working on to be successful. If there's any way that we can support or help, please feel free to reach out there. We're also participating in lots of conferences and organizing lots of conferences. So if you're keen to organize a local meetup or event, please feel free to reach out to our team, and we'll love to collaborate and support there. We also have a university team. So this is actively writing reports and covering local ecosystems. So if there's any way that we can support in our team up in publishing and writing these reports, could be super helpful. And then finally, we've got a news wing, which is really trying to cover local journalists and exciting updates within the token economy, digital assets, DAOs, and beyond. In terms of the unit network, I'm leading the product team. And we have such an exciting journey ahead because, as Anchor mentioned before, the unit network is built on our own layer 1 chain. So at the moment there are 12,000 tokens. There are about 50, 60 well-known layer 1 blockchains. We're really excited for a world where there's 12 million tokens and then 12 billion tokens, and instead of 50 different blockchains. We think there'll be 500, then 1,000 blockchains, then 10,000 blockchains. And instead of these blockchains being general purpose chains, so if you think about something like Ethereum or Solana or Matic or Binance Smart Chain, these are what's called general purpose chains. They're blockchains that try to do everything. So if you want to build an app on fashion or supply chain or hotels or restaurants, you can build on these general purpose chains. What we think is that there's going to be a move towards application specific chains. So what that basically means is every single blockchain, instead of it being trying to do everything and supporting every single application, there'll be blockchains which do very specific things. So, the unit network, we're a blockchain focused on creating DAOs and creating tokens and the token economy. We don't try and, build things outside of this. We're a blockchain specifically focused on this aspect. And what we think is that there will be many more blockchain specific focused on very specific aspects. There are three main platforms that provide an easy way to build a blockchain. The first one, as mentioned, is Polkadot. The second one is Cosmos. The third one that's well known is Avalanche. Polkadot basically calls each of these blockchains parachains or parathreads. Avalanche calls them subnets. And effectively, why this is so exciting is, as Nadia mentioned, are you also working in terms of interoperability of other layer ones? So the cool thing about something like Polkadot and the unit network is it provides that interoperability. We currently support 15 different networks. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, Matic, Near, and a bunch of others. And what that basically means is when you create a personal token, like a Michael token, Elias, he creates Elias token, Samuel, Precious, Henry creates the personal tokens, or they create a token for their business. They can put digital assets, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, Matic into their treasury, and people can see, okay, cool. They're putting in, $10 or $50 or $100 into their treasury. That means that the underlying value of that token is growing. If let's say all of us bought, a token in someone in the group, and they raised, $500 or $3,000, and then they spend the money on going for a holiday, on buying, going shopping, having fun. We don't see the treasury growing. We're like, hey, we gave this person a bunch of money, and they on their social media they're having lots of fun. But what's happening to the project? They're not giving updates, and the treasury is not growing. We know that the token price is probably going to drop close to the floor, which is zero, because we haven't seen this treasury growing. So it's just a really simple and effective way of monitoring and overseeing and a framework to be able to see how well certain tokens are going to compared to others. And they can't just have lots of talk and speculation and publicity and say, look, we're doing all this progress, we got this coming. If the treasury is not growing, but they're doing lots of marketing and hype and Twitter posts, then basically people know that okay, it's all speculation. And this treasury is so important for people to know that cool, there's actual underlying value behind this project or behind this token, rather than just the hype that's being provided. So that's our updates. Maybe if anyone's got maybe 2 or 3 questions, then we can go through these. I really enjoy being here, and so much respect. We're now 12, I think, or 13th batch at the moment. And really excited for it to scale. Sergey has a question regarding physical network of unit. Since you're not on part of Polkadot and Kusama yet, how do you provide a secure and decentralized network? That's a really good question. Doesn't mean to attack, just curious. So the cool thing about when you launch a blockchain on Substrate, Substrate is the framework. It's called like a bunch of toolkits for building a blockchain within Polkadot. So you want to build a blockchain, use Substrate, and this language called Rust. Is at the beginning, you have to provide the security for your network. And it's probably done in what's called a permissioned way. So, similar to Binance Smart Chain or similar to chains which are permissioned. There's a number of nodes, a number of servers or computers that keep the network running. So at the moment, the unit network is not yet connected to Polkadot or Kusama, meaning our security is not yet secured by the Polkadot relay chain. So we're expecting to bid in what's called a parachain auction in the coming weeks. And that will provide us with this security. There's about 26, I believe, 28 parachains on the Polkadot network. So we'll be one of the first 30. And what that provides is the ability to talk to other blockchains. It's called cross-chain messaging, XCMP, cross-chain messaging protocol. We can talk to other blockchains as well as being secured by it. And we take the approach that we've been so focused on making sure that the application logic that we're building is working well, the user experience works well, people are understanding how well it is to create tokens. And then over time, we want to get more decentralized and distributed. Our team has maybe like 40 people at the moment. We want to grow it to 150 and then 200. And then, we want to decentralize and make ourselves as the core team less important, less relevant. One second. Sorry, I just had some noise outside. Yep. So that's kind of like the roadmap and the decentralization strategy. We're really excited to be pioneer and push it forward. We believe that this economy is going to change the world, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process, and we think it's not a matter of if it's going to succeed, but really when. And similar to the internet, we think that this shift is so underappreciated and underestimated. We think that people think that the internet changed the world and that was huge, and the smartphone changed the world, that was huge. When Instagram got bought for $1 billion, everyone thought, oh my gosh, it's crazy. How's a photo sharing app worth $1 billion? It's only 18 months old. There's 10 people on the team, but that has really revolutionized society. It has such a big impact. And then people look at crypto and digital assets, they're going like, is this something I should care about? It's going to be a big part of the internet. But what we believe, it's going to be so much bigger than the internet. We think that, compared to, likes of Apple or Google or Amazon or Facebook, this idea of, the token economy, things like the unit network is going to be way, way bigger. This idea that, I'm excited for a future where, everyone here is going to have their personal tokens, and I can, I can buy and send over, $10 or $50 or $100 or $1,000 into each one of your personal tokens. And then, everyone here is also going to be able to buy into everyone else's tokens, and we're going to have, much more aligned incentives and, have a vested stake in supporting, helping each one of us grow and succeed. Because, I'm sure if you think about, your life and your journey, you've met so many interesting people, and some of them you've met them and you're like, she's really, special and smart and talented, or he's got potential, and had they had a token, you're gonna have been able to buy into them easily. And then when they become big, which you had a good intuition that they were going to be, you could have at least participated in their upside. So it's really not a matter of if, but when. And I highly recommend everyone to, dive into this head first and really see how to be an integral piece of it. A lot of people look at crypto at the moment, they think, oh my gosh, it's too late, or the market's crashed, it's never going to come back. People have lost interest, a lot of people have lost a lot of money, but it really hasn't started. If you think about the whole industry, it's worth 900 billion or 1 trillion. That's smaller than some companies in the world. If you think about like Apple, or if you think of Tesla or Amazon, the whole industry is the same size as this one company. It's kind of wild, and I think it's going to grow 500 times or 1,000 times or beyond. And this idea that there's 12,000 coins that exist at the moment, and very few of them have significant underlying value of a product or service. If you go into CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, two of the leading sites, and you try to go, okay, I'm going to use one of these products today, it's really not easy for a lot of people to use them, right? So I think that's a huge opportunity for everyone here to go, how can I build a project or a business or a community around the token economy? And then how can I support my friends, my family, my neighborhood, my community in putting the token economy within what they are doing? If you launch, a restaurant, a bar, a cafe, a playground, a road, a basketball court, a football field, whatever, using a token, this is probably going to be one of the first in your country or in the world using a token. It's kind of like, imagine you created the first website for a cafe. Like, you're the first cafe of a website. It sounds kind of wild, right? But that is really how early we are. There's probably less than 5 cafes in the world, or restaurants or musicians which have a token, which is backed by treasury, which is actively used and supported. So anyone here doing something, creating something within the token economy, you're going to be one of the first in the world. So a lot of what you're going to be doing, there's not going to be a lot of people that you can look to and say, okay, how did this person do it? Or how's it being done? Because you are the first. But then, the exciting thing about that is, when you do make it work, other people are going to go, wow, this person really led the way. This person, saw, were pioneers in making this happen. And then afterwards, they're going to be able to have a much easier time, because they can look at what you've done, and they can build on top of it, and you can advise them and support, and then maybe buy some of their tokens, or they'll give you some as an advisor or supporter of our team, and really create this shift. Point here from Kailu, a mistake. I mean, what will unit be called when launched on Kusama on Polkadot? So unit will be called the unit network. I can share a link to the unit network platform. I can also give you a quick run through of how it works before wrapping up. So here, 1 second. There you go. So this is the invitation to the platform, and I can walk you through a little bit of how it works. So if you go into unit.network, share my screen here. So this is basically what you need. I can put one of my email addresses. And that's how easy it is to create an account. Here you can see, I have nothing in my wallet. I just created it. Here's a newsfeed on the right. To create a token, it's super straightforward. You can create, and then you name it something. So I'm going to name it, Masters Session Demo, and hit create. And when you create it, just like that, you've created a token. You can see an overview of, by default, there's 100,000 tokens. You can set up sale round. You can post updates. Here's a link to an invitation to the token. At the moment, there's no token holders. I just created it. But if let's say everyone here had a token, they could see themselves on the leaderboard, and this allows you to see who are the biggest token holders. As mentioned here, this is the bank. So the bank basically tells you how much a token has to operate, to survive, to pay people, whether it's their team, for their rent, for their marketing, for their growth. Kind of like, if you have a friend who's running a startup or a business, and you call them up and say, hey, how's business going? Are you guys making money, losing money? Do you have enough money to survive? You don't have to call them up. You can basically see here in the bank how well it's doing operationally. And then, if it generates lots of money in the bank, that's where it moves it into the treasury. So the treasury, you can see there's zero in the treasury. So because there's 0 in the treasury, the floor price is 0. If there was 100,000 in the treasury, then the floor price would be $1. If there's 200,000 in the treasury, because there's 100,000 token, the floor price would be $2. And then, based on the floor price, we can go to the exchange, and you'll be able to see, what is the token being traded at the moment. So if the floor price, is $2, people are not going to be selling it for $1.50. It's not going to be traded at $1.50 or $1, because people would just go to the treasury, or people buy it from the exchange at $1.50 and go to the treasury and get back $2 for it. And then it will push the price up to $2. And then we provide a number of community features. So, whether it's, people building, bond staking rewards, creating a contest for the token, organizing events, creating groups, news like Reddit, papers, polls. So we provide all of these features and functionality. yeah, it's really exciting. And then, if you go to your edit page, you can, change the supply. Once you create all the symbol name, you can call it what you want. And I'm just going to delete it now. Yeah, and then you can see here a bunch of different tokens that have been created on the network. So that's just a really quick run through. We're super excited for this technology. We think it's not just going to change our industry, but also, change the entire world and, make such a positive impact and difference to people's lives. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? I guess before wrapping up, we're on the 37-minute mark, and really appreciate everyone's time and being here. Also very respectful for your time. Perfect. Well, please feel free to write in our master's group chat or message from our team members or myself. I'm excited to see how we can, collaborate and team up and support. Also, please join the next Ventures batch. I think this is a really nice continuation of your journey, and really excited to see what you create and see how we can support it and collaborate and team up. Huge big thanks to Nadia, Alessandros, and a few of us. Samuel, Savel, Xenia, and Scott, and all the people here who've made time. Question from Samuel: can we change the amount of coins that we create? Yes, most definitely. So when you create a coin, you can adjust the supply. There's a default of 100,000. Just we made it such that the default is 100,000, just so that people get up and running. And then if people want to configure it, they can do that. But you can only change the supply before you do any transfers or transactions. Once you do that, then it's fixed. You can't create more tokens just so that the token holders are protected, they don't get diluted. There's a fixed amount. Question for Nadia: do you have access to the smart contract that created the token directly on the network, or is it actually works differently? Yeah, most definitely. So we're publishing our Explorer and attaching the smart contract for each token created. We're performing a bunch of audits and making sure that all of what we release, making all the code open source is done in a very secure way. And we've got very long-term strategy and thought process behind building the token economy. So yeah, excited for the journey ahead. I guess final question before wrapping up. Oyel mentioned what disorder does the token economy treat? So I think the main problem that the token economy solves is the economic issues in the world and the wealth inequity. And what we think is that, when you solve the money issue in the world, you provide much more economic opportunity, you provide the right economic and monetary incentives, then, lots of other problems to be solved. I don't think it will solve all problems right away. I don't think money solves every issue, but it just makes it much easier. It makes it such that people don't have to worry or think about it. Because, whether someone's in debt or, struggling paycheck to paycheck or, has millions or billions of dollars, both sides, the really rich people in the world and then everyone else in the world still thinks about money. And then, what we're confident is that once the token economy becomes mainstream and everyone, is an integral piece of it, people just won't think about it as much. There'll just be so much flowing around, the access to capital will be much more fluid and fair. Everyone will think about much more, important things, like the value of their time, whether they really enjoy what they're doing, if they decide, should I take this job, should I go, buy this thing, support this initiative, the money aspect wouldn't be as prevalent. Question here from Mohammed: major factors that increase the value of the token. I would, people like to say utility. The way we think about it is the treasury growth backed by the utility. So, if you have, a restaurant, it creates really nice food, people are not going to buy the token because the food is really nice. They'll buy the token because the food is really nice. It generates some, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, Matic, which goes in the treasury, and people are buying it because the underlying treasury is growing. So it's not good enough that the food is really good in the restaurant if it loses money on every single plate of food or bowl of food. It needs to be done in an economically sound way, and it can't just take new investors' money in to pay for the food to feed people. It needs to raise some capital, buy ingredients, furnishing, hire people, and then make sure that the product and service being provided is of significant value and it generates some additional surplus to provide to token holders. So to answer your question, Mohammed, really we think the base in terms of what backs the token value is the growth of the treasury. And then once the treasury is growing, it's economically sound, then we think the money aspect is less important because it's sustainable. And then people can think about more important things like is this aligned with the cause? Is it environmental? Is it supporting people? Is it treating people well? Things like that. Mohammed question, thanks so much, Michael. But I will need to get it right on how to create a token. If you need to put some money before creating a token, so it doesn't cost anything to create a token. It takes seconds. I highly recommend experimenting and creating, and then running a few experiments, see how it works. It's kind of like a social media account. A lot of people created tokens, created social media accounts, and they're like, okay, how does this TikTok work? Or what is Instagram really? I'm not a celebrity, do I need social media? And then once they created it, they're like, cool, this is actually quite useful. I can keep in touch with friends, I can see what they're up to date. And that was really meaningful for a lot of people, to see what everyone was up to and to really try and learn and understand, what's happening in the world. We think that tokens are going to be much more revolutionary. This idea that, you can come across, local projects in your town, in your village, in your city, and then you can support them, whether it's monetary wise or time wise or, support in spreading the message. And, you're going to have a little bit of ownership, in those things and really have a vested interest in that succeeding. Question for LS, if you create a token on unit, is there an opportunity to swap on Pancake or other decentralized exchange networks when it grows to the level you need it to be? Absolutely. So, the cool thing about the token economy is going to be super interoperable. So, we're building bridges which work, to Pancake swap, to Sushi swap, to Sushi swap, and make it easy to trade out. We also provide our own decentralized exchange. So that one doesn't have to pay or get set up on other exchanges. Some exchanges like Binance or Coinbase or OKX or Huobi, they're very difficult to get. It's a very difficult process to get listed there, and it can be very expensive. Cost hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. We provide that for free and very easy. Question from Ayo Delhi. Can you please give an example about the process of building a treasury aside from the initial fundraising when deposited into treasury? That's a good question, Ayo Delhi. So basically, one way to think about it is if I was a musician, or I was, started a restaurant. When I raise capital from selling the token, I've got some money. I use that money to build the project, to spend it on marketing, on hiring people. And then let's say that generates $100,000 in revenue a year, or let's say $1 million in revenue, or $10,000 in revenue. I use some of that capital, and I use it to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, and then I put that into the treasury. In certain places, you're allowed to call what you're putting into treasury as profit. So you're putting profit into treasury. In certain places where it's very difficult regulatory wise to create a security token or token where you put profit in treasury, you can put the capital into your treasury and think of it as an expense. So the same way you spend money on marketing or on advertisement with Google, Facebook, or you spend money on salaries or whatever, you can put money into treasury, and that's effectively some of your cost. And then people are buying the token because they see that the treasury is growing. And they know that it's not from taking other investors' money or, getting in new people and promising them money from further people like a Ponzi scheme or scam, but it's actually coming from a sustainable, business or product and service being created. Maybe final question from Priscilla. Hi, Michael. Once you create your token and increase value, how token holders can benefit from that? What can they do with the token they hold? Thanks here. That's a great question. So a bunch of the community features that we showed, you can, use all those community features. We're in the process of rolling each and every one of them out. So they're not all entirely completed, but they're in progress. So using the community features, exchanging them for products and services. You can also sell it onto the exchange. So, when you buy a token, let's say we all bought some, Vika's token or Samuel token, or Alessandro's token, or Marcella token. We can exchange, once we bought the token, we can, exchange some of them for the USDU and exchange USDU to Bitcoin, and then, buy into other projects, or we could cash it out and buy whatever you want. So it's really like similar to Nasdaq or similar to the Nikkei or how stock exchanges work, but it's much more democratized. To get on these big stock exchanges, very expensive, very difficult. And we believe in a future where everything is effectively traded and supporting everyone. So it's a really exciting journey ahead, and we're looking forward for all of us to play an integral and critical piece in the success. So I really appreciate everyone's time. Please, feel free to write in the chat and reach out to myself or one of the team members. And thank you so much.